We've seen a huge shift over the years of the types of dogs that have been coming in. Of late, it's become much bigger breeds, staffy size onwards, and many of the animal centres now up and down the country, including us, are swamped with bull breed and bull breed crosses.
I currently find myself out of work and without the income to support the finance to care for Lucy, our dog.
They've been pushed and pushed and pushed because of the way the economy is, and they just can't afford to keep the dog any longer.
RSPCA Leicester is an animal rescue centre full of dogs. It's been rescuing and caring for the species for over 10 years, but now it's at breaking point. More dogs than ever before are flooding into rescue homes up and down the country.
Good evening. Britain is back in recession. It means that
A lot of people now are giving up on their animals because the economic climate, they can't afford veterinary costs, they can't afford to feed their animals, they may be out at work for longer hours and feel it's unfair to leave their animals. Many people now are doing 2 jobs just to try and make ends meet.
A lot of people have lost jobs, maybe had to move house or been evicted, that sort of thing. And, you know, quite a lot of them, through no fault of their own, have had to, part with their dogs.
The RSPCA has seen a steep rise in the number of dogs that are coming into their rescue shelters. Last year, an increase of 22% of people were convicted of cruelty to dogs. Every 30 seconds they receive a call about cruelty or abandonments of animals, and most recently there has been one breed that's most common.
A lot of them are now bull terriers because there's been a big fashion for bull terriers over the last sort of 10 years or so. So there's an awful lot of bull terriers in the dog population now. So a lot of kennels around the Midlands will have a lot of bull terriers, and we've got a few in.
People see that they have a certain image, and there's a lot of stuff in the media whenever a bull breed attacks another dog or a person, and it almost becomes a fear thing, and that bull breeds are a nasty breed.
According to the RSPCA, 2011 was their worst year ever for the number of dogs they were taking into rescue homes. The number of people no longer able to care for their dog also increased, and cruelty and abandonments went up by nearly 24%.
A lot of animals are coming in from the inspectorate because they have untreated skin conditions, ear conditions that are really deep-seated, that haven't been treated because owners simply couldn't afford it.
It's irresponsible ownership. People take a dog on without realising just what is involved in looking after it. The costs, of course, when you get a huge vet bill, and vet bills are increasing year on year now, it's an enormous drain on someone who isn't expecting to have these sort of costs. The economic climate isn't helping, of course, because more people are finding it more difficult. There are more unemployment, and the family pet is one of the first things to fall foul of lack of income, I would suggest.
Rather than make provision and try to get the dog into a kennels, they'll just abandon it. There's been a few of those extra now, I should imagine, really, more than we usually take, and from dog wardens. I think that's probably up about 5 or 10% through the dog wardens. But it's mainly been through people, contacting us and asking us to take in the dogs that they can no longer look after.
That's a situation that became all too real for James and Louisa. They became friends at university, and after graduating they bought a house together. Louisa was desperate for a dog, and after some thinking they bought Lucy, a beagle puppy. But last month James was made redundant, leaving them with some difficult decisions.
We've had to think really long and hard about what Lucy's future is with us, and as with my financial difficulties at the moment, life's become increasingly harder around the home. We've found that things like insurance for Lucy, food, vet bills, everything's on the increase, and with our income on the decrease we can't afford that anymore. And in order to be fair to her and for her to be in a situation where she can be cared for and supported in the way that's needed, we're going to have to look at options of rehoming.
If she had a medical problem, say, and she needed to go to the vet, and we wouldn't be able to afford the vet's bills, then that's not fair on her. I reckon if we took her to somewhere like the RSPCA, then she'd have a much better home that could care for her properly and give her everything that she needs in terms of veterinary bills and better food, etc.
It's not a situation that can last forever, and it's not fair for the additional hours and shifts that she's having to pull in order to keep the house maintained.
It's a case of we either have her or we don't pay our bills.
I don't think it's fair for her to accept anything less than what she's been used to over her time with us, and I think now that we're unable to provide that, that's why I feel it's so important to look at her being able to be given over to a better home.
It's a decision that many people have had to make in the last year, and it can't be taken lightly. Responding to the increase, the RSPCA now offers regular advice and tips on how to reduce the cost of keeping a dog.
There are varieties of foods out there. You can go for the Rolls Royce of food, but actually if your finances don't allow that, then there will be a cheaper brand of food which you can feed your dog on, and it can be just as happy and just as healthy.
Assisted neutering schemes, for example, would be a first idea, where people who have animals will be protected against those animals breeding unnecessarily by having a cheap spay or neuter. And that can be very beneficial in so much it doesn't present problems at a later date of unwanted cats or puppies or any animal for that matter.
If you take out pet insurance, which you can get different ranges now of pet insurance to suit your purse, and you know, for £10 a month you can have peace of mind that actually your pet is covered up to £4,000 worth of veterinary treatment each year because you've got it insured.
The RSPCA believes that dogs shouldn't be in rescue homes. They should each have a loving home. But for some, dogs are simply a money-making machine, which challenges the job of the RSPCA.
The ease with which people can buy animals on the internet now, not just from the paper, on the internet, and there's another whole problem area of imported poor quality dogs, intensively bred puppies from puppy farms. And there's some nightmare stories about people buying a pup for a couple of £100, collecting it in a motorway service station from someone out the boot of a car, and within a week it being in a vet surgery dying. If a group of people get together and decide what a dog should look like, whether it should have a snubbed nose or not, then the onus then becomes on breeders to create dogs with even greater and greater snubbed noses, irrespective of what that's doing to the respiratory system. And in the end, we've got examples where dogs can't breathe because they've been bred to look different to the natural way that nature intended them to be.
Rescue homes around the country are now having to find ways of getting dogs back into homes and giving them a better quality of life.
Why should we deny the dog a home when it could be perfectly happy?
It'll improve when the economy improves and people have got more money to spend, and they'll be able to look after the dogs, you know.